All right, Splendour, give him love. Welcome to the stage, Luka Muller.
Yes, thanks everyone. This is lovely. It's good to be back doing stand-up. Obviously with all the COVID, stand-up's been pretty up and down the last year and a half. So I've actually had to go back to my old day job, which is working as a removalist at a company called Man with a Van. You guys know that company? I'm a man with a van. Me? How fucked is that? I don't look like a man with a van, do I? I look like a cuck with a truck. Imagine that. You want some big burly boys to come and move your stuff and I just rock up like, yeah, let me touch your fridge. It's no good. It doesn't suit, you know what I mean? I don't have like sort of a strong looking tough guy face. I have a very sort of sweet, friendly, smiley, polite face. Someone once told me I have the kind of face where every single person I meet assumes that I just had an ice cream. The longer the laugh, the deeper the hurt. What is this? It is probably the only joke you'll see tonight where the setup is the comedian saying something and the punchline is you just fucking looking at him. That's true. It's weird doing comedy in the COVID times. It's like, what approach do you take? Do you talk to it? Do you talk about it? Do you get into it? Or do you just ignore it, act like it doesn't exist, take the Scott Morrison approach, you know what I mean? What's it going to be? I feel like we should talk about it. Something I started doing in the lockdown last year was I started seeing a therapist. Anyone else? Fuck, that is good numbers. Holy shit. Big year for therapists last year, I think. I heard the CEO of Headspace bought 3 yachts. Not bad. I started seeing one. Obviously, everyone here tonight very nice and supportive. That's good, but I understand that not everyone would want to yell out. That's okay. There's a stigma attached. There's a shame attached. I understand that. I don't think you should be ashamed if you started seeing a therapist last year, or ever, really. I think that is a very normal reaction to what was a terrible situation. I think the people we should look out for, the people we should be worried about, are the ones who didn't start seeing a therapist, or didn't even start thinking about it, really. What the fuck is wrong with those maniacs? Just taking in the world as it was last year, just like, yeah, wow, global health system's fucked. Global financial system's fucked. I can't go to work. I can't see my family. Can't see my mates. Can't even leave the house for more than an hour. All good, I reckon. Play on for me, that one. Keep it coming. I've got my gratitude journal and a takeaway boost juice. So get your negative energy and fuck off, all right? It's insane. They're out of their minds. Something else I started doing in the lockdown last year was I grew a moustache because I was a man in Melbourne and I think it was the law. I gave it a crack. The way I thought of it was this is just a good opportunity to sort of try it out without anyone seeing the sort of awkward in-between half mustache phase, you know what I mean? That's all I thought about it. And so I already had it when I started seeing the therapist, right? And we were doing these Zoom calls every week. And when it was bad and hard, we were doing it every single week. And then as stuff opened up and I was feeling a bit more okay, we had a bit more time in between our sessions, right? And so we had a session middle of November and then we scheduled in another one for a full month later, middle of December. And at some point in that month, I shaved the mustache and I thought nothing about it. I was like, it's gone, experiment over, whatever, who cares, it's gone. And then I called him middle of December and the first thing he sees is my clean-shaven face on Zoom and he goes, oh, I see you've made a lot of progress. Fuck off, mate. I didn't realise a facial hair choice could also be a cry for help. Cyberbullying me. He's my therapist. He's creating the problem and then selling me the solution. It's capitalism. It sucks. But he was very helpful outside of that. Probably the hardest thing that he helped me deal with in the lockdown last year was I'm in a long-distance relationship. Anyone else? Fucking stoked about it too. How good? I think more people should give it a crack. I actually think it's really good. I'd really recommend it. If you're sort of a person that's not really into stuff like kissing or holding hands or having brunch at the cafe and you're sort of more interested in things like playing Scrabble online and weeping, then it's really cool, actually. And so I live here, obviously, in Melbourne, and she lives in Sydney. And so over the big, long Melbourne lockdown last year, we didn't see each other at all for about 6 months, which was really hard. We made it through, which I think is a pretty good effort, to be honest. I'm quite proud of us that we did that. It's very difficult. You got to find new ways every day to try to connect and be in love through a fucking screen. It's really hard, but we did it, and I'm proud of us. And then you tell your friends, and no one gives a shit. Really? They're like, oh, all anyone cares about is the physical side, right? They're like, oh, wow, 6 months must be so hard. Did you guys jack off on Zoom? Like, that's all anyone wants to know. And the answer is no, by the way, you dirty pervs. We didn't. We discussed it as an idea, as a concept, and we realised it's probably not for us. It just wouldn't work for us as people. I know myself, and I know my relationship with sex, and I would be very uncomfortable with that. If she wanted to try, I'd give it a go. I'm a team player. I love her. I'd give it a crack, but I just know how weird I'd feel. I'd be there trying to get into it like, oh, yeah. That, by the way, is how uncomfortable I am with sex. This is where I do the act out here. Anything closer than that, too horny. No, thank you. This is good, clean fun. This is for the family, all right? I'd try. I would give it a go. I'd be there trying to be like, oh, yeah, so good. And I'd feel weird and uncomfortable and out of place, and I'd have to try to make it funny because that's always my instinct. And I'd be like, oh, yeah, oh, God, click. Look at me. I'm jacking off on the moon. That's one small dick for man. Absolutely not. Very uncomfortable with sex, that is true about me. Very uncomfortable with it. Don't really value it. Don't even really like it, to be honest. You guys like it? Give us a cheer if you like to root. You are a horny bunch of freaks. Now, good on you. I don't want to shame you. Good on you. Go nuts. I know that I'm very much in the minority. I know that I'm sort of the odd one out here, and I know that it's not at all a relatable piece of comedy. Not in the least. I think generally you want to come and see yourself reflected on stage and be connected with like that. This is not that. Sorry. And so what I am is asexual, right? I don't know if you've heard of that. It's totally fine if you haven't. I hadn't heard of it until a couple of years ago. But it just means I don't enjoy sex. I don't really find myself attracted to anyone. This is very hard to admit, but you guys seem lovely and giving. So at least half the times in my life that I have had sex, I have faked an orgasm. That's true. There's a lot of women nodding and a lot of confused men. That's okay. That is hard to admit, and it's hard to talk about, and it's hard to do, if I'm honest, actually. When you're a man, I think it's probably one of the few things in the world that is genuinely more difficult if you are a man. I think most of the time we have a pretty good run of things, us boys. I think it's been a pretty good few thousand years, to be honest. But faking an orgasm, way harder when you're a man. You got to have a whole setup, right? I've got my little setup. I've got a little bedside table. And in there, I keep a little water pistol full of shampoo. And I get that out. I need you to know that's a joke, please. That is not for real. But yeah, it's totally fine if you don't know what asexual is or whatever. I didn't know until a couple of years ago, and I was telling a friend, I was like, I don't like to root, and I don't really find anyone that hot. Am I broken? Am I wrong? What's going on? And they said, no, I think you're just asexual. And so I looked into it, and I think I'm asexual. And it took me a long time to come to that realization. But to be fair, it takes me a long time to come to anything. So thank you very much. I'm Luka Muller. Have a good night. Cheers.
Give it up for Luka Muller!